Okay, so last class we have done this far. It was walking. So one problem was it doesn't jump. Second, this road ends. Third, there is no problem at all. It's like no obstacle and all. So first thing we'll do, we'll add jump to this player. So for that, I'll create a script, name it player, and one of you tried to add jump by changing its position. So y value, he tried to change the y value or transform dot position. So player position he tried to change from whatever it is to maybe some higher value. When you press the button, so he tried to change the transform dot position value. We'll see all the options. And maybe I think I had covered already this thing in that video, which is already covered. So we'll not do that. That video covers all the aspects of jumping. So we use physics. So physics to give real jump-like effect, and to use physics in Unity, we use rigid body. Some of the mistakes that some of you have done or did is they mixed with 2D things like rigid body 2D. Instead of rigid body 2D, they applied rigid body. Or what they did is they applied rigid body to the player. So rigid body 2D they applied to the player, but in the code they were not using rigid body 2D, but they were using rigid body. So these were the mistakes that they did. First of all, how can we get the rigid body? So all these components, as I said, every component is accessible in the code. You can access those components of any game object and you can change it as well. So how to access those properties? So in Unity, there is a function called get component, and using that function, we get that component. Transform is a component, but this component is available in all the game objects. The rest other things we add by ourselves, but transform is always present in all of them. So that's why transform to access transform component, you need not to use get component. You can like these are always available. Transform and you can do whatever you want. So this is one of the way like what people have tried. And here give some value. So they try to change the position to whatever the current position is to some higher value to make it jump, but that is not a real jump effect because transform dot translate or transform dot position and changing the position, it just quickly change the position. It's not a real jump. In real jump, we go higher and then fall down slowly. So that's why this is not correct. Okay, so we'll check everything. So first of all, to have real physics-like effect in the game, we use rigid body. So we applied rigid body to our game object, and secondly, we'll access this component to add some force. So to jump in real world, how do we jump? We press our legs to the ground, and with the force we move. We force ourselves in top in up direction. Yeah, up in up direction we force ourselves. So similarly, we'll add some force to this dragon in top direction or up direction. And to apply force, we use rigid body. So how to do that? So first of all, I'll create a variable rigid body 2D. Call it anything. I call it rigid body as well. Yeah, I'll call it RB. Rigid body RB. So this is a variable which is not initialized. It has not been given any value. So first of all, I will initialize this. So RB is equals to, and in this I want to get rigid body component of this game. So for that, I'll use the Unity function which is called game component. And in that, you have to give the type of the component. So it will be rigid body 2D. Okay. So with this, now we'll get the rigid body of this game component. And using this rigid body or RB, we can do all the physics things. So we can apply force to it. And also the force will be applied on some condition. So I'll put the conditional statement if same thing.
Get key. Input dot get key.
Yeah. Input dot get key down.
So what is get key down, sir?
When you press the button, it is key down. When you leave the button, release the button, it is key up. So key down or get key down.
So I didn't understand. Can you tell?
So if I release the key, if it has to jump, I have to press get key up. If I want the character to do something, when I press the key itself, I have to give get key down.
So get key down is when you press the key, and get key up is when you release the key.
So for hold,
so
what is it?
Up, sorry?
For hold, like holding it, should we use the down one itself?
Okay, to hold you should use, or you want continuous effect. So for that you should use only get key. Get key will handle both the calls, like down or release. Everything is like handled by get key. But we don't want the continuous. If we hold it, it should continuously jump and jump and jump. That is also like that is there in the real game. In this case, real game, you can hold it, and as soon as it lands to the ground, it jumps again. So you can do that using get key only. If you want, like it should be hold should also work. So in that case, use get key. And if you don't want hold, so in my case, I will not code for hold. So I'll get key down and I'll use the space bar. So this is the conditional statement, and so key up is when you release, down is when you press, and get key is both or all. You touch the key, like you pull it down or hold it or release it. All the events come to it. So that is get key. You can try these things after the class as well, like by your own. So as soon as you press the button, so what we'll do, we'll add some force, we'll apply some force to this rigid body. So for that, we'll use the rigid body component, which we have got it using get component function in RB. So RB, and it has a predefined function like transform. Transform component has predefined functions like translate, rotate. Similarly, rigid body component has lots of predefined functions, already defined functions, which is defined by Unity. So one of the function is add force, and in the add force we have to give the direction of the force, amount of the force, and there is something called force mode as well, which is impulsive, acceleration, and all those.
So will there be angle also?
Yes, you need to provide a direction. So this force is vector to components. So what we do in this, we provide the direction as well as, so for direction we'll use vector 2 dot up, and in this we'll multiply with some magnitude of the force. So we'll get a public function, sorry, a variable for the force. Public float some force. Let's keep some initial value as 10. Later we can change it in the repeater itself. And jump force mode. So there, It has two mode. One is force and one is impulse. Impulse is sudden applied force. Like if you apply the force suddenly, so that is impulse mode. So jump will be a sudden effect. It will like suddenly jump from the a sudden force will be applied, and with that force he will continue to be in the air and then fall down. So with this much code, and I will apply this code to the player, and my player should jump. So apply it. Uh, I have the jump force 10. Okay, so we can see that it is jumping, but it's jumping a lot. It is going out of the scene as well, and the jump is a bit different. Like it is jumping a bit slowly compared to this game.
So can we increase the speed?
Huh. So increase the speed of what? What? Which speed?
We decrease the angle, like magnitude.
Huh. Magnitude we can decrease for sure. Okay, we'll do that. So in the editor I will change. Maybe in the play mode I will do that. I'll change it to 5. Maybe 6 value may be fine. I will try 6. 6 might be fine. We'll apply the obstacles like cactus, then we will be able to judge. But there's one more thing, one more difference there.
So the ground is moving much more faster.
That is one. Secondly, the flight time, the time in which this dragon is in air or dinosaur is in air. This is very less compared to our case. Like our case, it appears like it's a slow mo of the same thing, slow motion. So it's not same. Like it is appears like very slowly. It is going up and coming down also very slowly.
Can
Compared
we increase the gravitational pull?
yes. So which is what we'll do. We'll increase the gravitational pull. And in most of the jumping games, this is what done. We increase the gravitational pull so that it doesn't spend a lot of time in the air. And how to do that? That is also very easy. So rigid body we used for direction. We use or here we need to provide direction which is in vector 2 form. This takes vector 2 form, and impulse mode we have applied. Now how to increase the gravity. So all the physics related things you will find in rigid body, and in the rigid body there is something called gravity scale. So now we'll change this value. It is 1. We'll change it to 2, and let's see what happens. Now we can see that it is a bit faster, but the height has also reduced. So what we'll do, we'll increase the jump force maybe to 10 again. Jump is very high. I will increase gravity maybe 2.5. I will try
So why did the jump increase now?
because I have increased the jump force, the magnitude of the force that we are applying.
What if we decrease this and increase the gravitational scale?
Yes, that is what I'll. What if we decrease the force?
Decrease the jump force. Yeah.
See, when you are increasing the gravity, means gravitational pull you are increasing means Earth is pulling this dinosaur towards it with a greater force. So if you want to go away from this gravitational force, you have to apply more force. If you don't do that, then the jump height will be very low. So we'll do that. Maybe I'll keep this as 5, 6 only, and I have increased the gravity as 2.5. Let's see what happens. So you can see that height, the jump height is very low now. Okay, so I will keep it 2.5 and this will, I will keep 10. I think this will be fine. Or maybe some lower value if this should be fine, I think. Okay,
So, but when three cactus come, it can't jump when it's this.
check that. So for that, what we'll do, before that, we'll learn something new that we have not done so far. So, and one more thing, one problem that others faced when they tried to download the audio, they were not able to. So this is the green room game, and inside this we have this audio, and I also tried to do the same sort of thing. This is file, this is a file. I try to download, then it opens up in this format, and here when you press this button doesn't work. This thing, nothing works here.
So
Uh,
we can do right click on the blue one itself and download it. So
so I just right click on this thing and save as button came, and with this we can download it. So you guys can download from here. Right click here and click on
Sir,
save as.
can you just show the code once, sir?
Yeah, we'll. ठीक है. Put this code. And I'll come back in 5 minutes. I'll share this link. Meanwhile, you guys also try. So first of all, we'll use 2D almost everywhere. Only transform component will still be using 3D, vector 3. The rest everywhere will use 2D, like rigid body 2D, box slider 2D. In the code also, I'm using rigid body 2D. Get component will be 2D. So everywhere vector 2 dot up and force mode 2D. ठीक है, I have provided the code here. Link I'll give you. I'll come back in 5 minutes. Meanwhile, try this thing. Secondly, I have also changed the gravity scale. This is important because in our case, how to change the gravity. So everything about physics you will find it in the rigid body. So rigid body has this field which is gravity scale, which is 1 by default. I increased it to 2.5. So Earth will be pulling, or the object will be pulled downward with a greater force, and I have applied jump force equal to 10. So this is what I have done. Try this thing. We'll come back in 5 minutes. Also, please download the audio file. The link is with the video description. So from there, if you have not already downloaded, download it and create an audio folder, and in the folder put the audio files.
Sir, I have a problem.
Yes. Tell me.
So whenever I press the space bar button, I make it to jump. If the moment I click it twice, it's jumping more than before it's landing on ground itself. It's
Yes.
jumping again and again.
Good that you got this problem. Something like that.
Yes, sir. The same problem.
Hmm. Okay, that is a bug.
More like Flappy Bird game it became, sir.
Kind of. Yeah, good thought as well. So yeah, we can make Flappy Bird game with this concept that we have for now. But this is not Flappy Bird, and this jumps, or we are not a bird, or this dragon is not also a bird. So it cannot jump from air. It has to come down on the ground, and then he will jump. Then he will be able to jump. So for that, we write some extra lines of code. One line is one. The concept here is we need to first detect whether the dragon is in air or ground. We need to apply this force in top direction only when the dragon is on the ground, not in air. Now, how will we know that where it is? Like at any point of game, how will we come to know that whether the dragon is in air or on the ground? So we'll cover that concept. This will come. So for now, whatever state it is, let's manage. We'll fix this later. Okay. So before that, I hope all of you have downloaded this audio and brought into the project as well. Anyone has not done? Sound press offline sound hit.
So I'm not able to get it into the project.
Not able to get into the project. Achha,
Yeah, it's
drag and
showing
drop.
that block symbol, red color.
Bro, just try to do it in your files itself.
Okay, I'll try.
The place you have saved there, you can find the folder assets. You try there.
But why is the drag not working, sir?
Should have worked. I have to check that. Maybe you can send the video. Second
Okay,
option
sir.
suggested is just open the folder, and in that folder you can put it
Okay, sir.
game Unity projects. So in that you can go to this folder and maybe copy and paste. This way also it will work.
So whenever you're doing a project, you want to download multiple files from Google. You just go first. You store your location there. Again, you save. It will be there itself.
But drag and drop should also work. You can send me the video. Maybe from there I will be able to check and help. Okay. Now what we want is whenever we jump, we want to add a jump audio, like in the real game or in this game. Okay. So how to add this audio? So to add audio, we have a component whose name is audio source, and we use this component to play audio. It has lots of properties. Uh, one of the properties is play on awake, which is by default selected. So play on awake means when you start the game, it will start playing, which we don't want in this case especially. So I will just select it and remove the selection. Volume, priority, pitch, and there are lots of properties. 3D will ignore. Rest we will ignore. Rest all the properties will ignore. This was selected by default, which is play on awake, which means when you start the game, then it will play. So I have removed it. So I have added a component whose name is audio source. And okay, now we'll change our existing script, which is player script. And since audio source is also a game component, and using the audio source we play the audio. So first thing we'll need an audio source component. So how to get it? Again, using the same function get component. So first thing I will do is I'll create a variable of type audio source. Call it audio source. Then initialize this variable. How to initialize or how to get the audio source component? So audio source is equals to again game get component, the function which is defined in Unity, and in this we just have to give the type. Now, if this script will be applied to a game object, and if that game object, in our case, it is player object. So if this player object has a audio source component attached, then here you will get that audio source which is attached. And now when we jump, so in that case, now we don't want to do only one thing. We don't want to just add the force. We want to perform one more operation, which is I want to play the sound, which is jump sound. So what I'll do, I'll just add some lines of comments. Apply force. First thing that we need to do. Second thing that I need to do is play jump audio. And one more thing I'm going to do, I'll create a variable which since someone asked this question, you are able to jump from the air as well. So I'll create a boolean variable is on ground. By default, it will be false. Okay, I have created a variable is on ground, and we will check this or we'll set it to true or false. We'll set this variable to true or false based on where my player is. Whether my player is on ground, then it will be set to true, and if my player is in air, then this will be set to false. So when we press the space bar, then we are adding this jump force. But instead of this, we should check one more condition. This is one condition, that whether we have pressed space bar or not. Second condition is whether my player is on ground or not. So we need to check two conditions, and based on that, we'll decide whether we should jump again or not. So there's one more condition which I have not applied yet. I'll just comment out that check for is on ground condition as well. I've just written this comment. I have not written the code that will actually check. So maybe we'll later add it. So play jump audio, and third step will be we'll set when we are really jumping, then we should check this value, or we should make this false, because now it is going to jump, and when it will jump, it will not be on ground. So set is on ground to, because we are going to fly. So these are the comments that I have written. Now I will write the actual code. So we'll use audio source to play the audio. So audio source is one of the components that we got, that is applied to the player. And in this again audio source component, we have lots of functions predefined. One of the function is play one shot, mean only play once. There are other functions as well, play delayed, play scheduled, something. So we'll use this function play one shot. So it will play. Now question is what it should play. So for that, we have to provide the audio clip as well, the audio clip that it should play. So how to get the audio clip? So for that, I'll create a public variable of type audio clip, and in the game editor or Unity editor, we'll set its value. Audio clip, which I'll keep it as it is, and in the game editor, we will set it. Sorry, this is the type, and I'll call it jump audio clip. Okay, so now when we are pressing the space bar, we are not only applying the force, we are doing one more operation, which is we are playing one audio using the audio source component, and it has a predefined function which is play one shot. And in this, we have to provide what audio we want to play. So is one I have created a variable for the audio, and we will assign the value from the game. There is this last thing which is maintain this is on ground thing, which we'll do a bit later. So for now, we'll leave it as it is in the comment form only. And this thing also, we'll leave it as it is. We'll revisit and fix this. We'll come back to our code, and in the code we have applied audio source, and player script we have changed. Now we have another variable which is jump audio clip, and in this I will this is jump audio. So I will just drag and drop this audio clip, which is offline sound press. Now if I play the game, so now if I jump, we have this audio.
Sir, I didn't understand the audio source adding part in the first. Can you explain once?
So to play the audio, you need an audio source to play the audio. Audio source is something which plays the audio. And there's one more thing which I'll not discuss more now. There's something called audio listener. So audio source is someone which produce the audio, and audio listener which is with the camera, and audio listener listens the audio. Or like camera, we see the camera view only, and we get the audio from camera. Like whatever camera is receiving, that is, we assume that game player is receiving, and we see the camera view only. So audio source is someone who produce the audio or produce the sound. So that's why we have this audio source added in the game object. We use this component in this code. We get this component using this function, and using this audio source, it has a predefined function, and using this function we are playing the audio, and these are the real audio. One of them I'm using, and I'm playing this audio programmatically in code based on some action. So action here is when we jump, then only play the audio. There are some properties also, like volume property. If I set to very low, maybe my volume, when I jump, the volume will be very low. So this is very low, I think. Not able to hear it at all. I'll increase in. So audio source and this property. Try to increase it.
So what is 3D sound settings?
This will come later.
Okay.
The game will not use this a lot, but yeah, the spatial blend and all these things, this will come later. So audio source is something which produces the sound, and we are using this in the code. Audio source we are using the code to play the sound on some event, and in our case the event is jump event. So we'll put the updated code, and we'll keep this. Here I have added audio source. I remove this. This is by default selected play on awake, so I remove this setting. And in the player script, I have added this audio. I created a variable audio clip, and as I assigned this, which we are using audio clip we are using to play this sound one shot or one time when we jump. Yes.
Yeah, sir, I've done the same thing as you did, but the sound effect is not coming. Sir, they're not even playing at all. It's showing 0 seconds total time of the audio. Sir, the files which I've downloaded, it's showing 0 KB.
Meanwhile, I will tell you one option to all of you. So you can go to this, and if you're not able to download one file or something because of any reason, So go to this path, which is like inside this, everything is present, like all the class and all those things. So go to this path, which is coding for kids, and in this you will see this button, and in the last this option is there, download zip. So download zip will zip all the files or compress all the files, and it will download entire thing, all the folders, all the files inside it. I'll just try it. So it will download all in the compressed format, and then I need to expand it. My case double click will work. So this is the folder after expanding, and in this everything is present. All the folders, all the files are present. So in case you are not able to download one, you can try this thing.
None of them are playing, sir. That's why.
Oh, is it? So how it is working for others?
I don't know, sir.
Okay. In that case, we are left with this option only.
Sir, I have tried with the inspect one, the inspect option. You gave the link last class, so I downloaded it from there. I downloaded it.
Thanks for bringing this up. I will add this in description as well. For now, I'll paste the links here. Try to download this. I hope this should work. Okay, moving on. So
Done, sir. Now it's working.
great. Okay. So we need obstacles in this game, and before that, let's fix this part. So it keeps on jumping, whether it is on ground or not. Keeps jumping. To fix that, we'll use our variable. Before that, what I will do is this code which is related to jump. What I'll do, I'll create a new function, void, and in this function, I'll put this code, and I'll call this function from here, so that will look more clear. Okay, so all the jump related code I have moved to a jump function. When we press this button and condition are satisfied, then it will jump. So first thing we need to do is first we need to check that whether this dinosaur or T-Rex is on ground or not. If it is on the ground, then only we should jump. So I'll add another condition. So how to add another condition in the conditional statement? So this is called AND operator. We have others operator like OR operator and many more. We'll learn that later. So this is an AND operator. So AND operator means this is the first condition. Control X, condition A and condition B. So I just given a random name. So condition A and this symbol is called AND symbol. AND symbol means if condition A is satisfied or it is true, as well as condition B is also true. AND means if both are true, then only run this thing or execute the code which is written inside the jump body. So if both the conditions are valid, AND operator means if both conditions are valid, then only run the jump body part or run the if body part. This is what AND means. there is something called OR. This is called OR operator. Using shift and this 7 button, you can get this AND symbol by holding the shift and pressing 7. In my keyboard it is 7. Yours should be 7 or maybe something else. So shift and
7
holding.
itself.
So this is how we get AND. And OR is above enter button. Again, holding your shift button and this thing. So OR condition means if A is true, condition A is true, or B is true, means any of them, if one of them is true, at least one of them is true, then it will go inside and it will execute this code. Or means either of the two. And means both should be true. Both conditions should be satisfied, then only. So first condition that we had is if someone is pressing a space bar. Second condition that I'm going to add is on ground is equal to means compared to true. So if the dragon is on the ground, as well as if we are pressing the space bar as well as it is on the ground, then only jump. Put this comment here. Pressed space bar. Then jump. So I have added both the condition. If the dragon is on the ground, it is true. And the space bar you have pressed, both the conditions are met, then jump. And in the jump function, what we are doing, first we are applying some function in top direction, up direction, then we are playing this audio, and last thing that we are going to do is on ground value. Since it is jumping, so we'll set it to false. Now by default, if we don't set anything, it will be false. And if it is on the ground, then only we are jumping and making it false. Now when it will become true, how do we know that, how my code will know, or how game will know that uh, it is not on ground, or player is on the ground or is in air. So when it is going in air, I'm setting it to false. So when it is jumping, when the dragon is jumping, then I'm setting this variable to false, which means it is in air. But when it lands to the ground, how will we get to know that it has now landed to the ground, and we should set the value of is on ground to true? So how will come to know that this has landed, this dragon has landed on the ground? So for that also Unity has provided a function, and the function is enter on collision enter, and this is a 2D game, so it will be on collision enter 2D. So this is a function, and this function is again a special function. Like start is a special function which is called by Unity when the game starts. Update is a special function which is called by Unity after every few milliseconds. Similarly, there is another function. The function is on collision enter, and 2D is for the 2D game. 2D will not be there for the 3D game. So on collision enter is another special function, and this function is called by Unity. Why this is special? Because this function, we will not call it like jump is a function that I have created, and there is nothing special about it because I have written and I am calling it based on some conditions. But this is a special function. Why? Because we will not call it, Unity will call it on behalf of us. And when Unity will call this function, whenever player will collide to any other game object. So in our case, this is my player which has a collider, which is box collider 2D. And this collider or this player, if it collides with another collider, So in this setup, I have a ground which has colliders, the ground child objects which has collider, which is box collider. So if it collides to another collider, then this function is called, this on collision inter function is called by Unity. Unity will call this function. So this function is called whenever my player will collide with something else, with any other collider. So in this case, it will be called when it will hit the ground. So what I will do is, as soon as it hits the ground, I will set the value of is on ground equals to true. Once again, on collision inter is a special function, and this function is called by Unity. When it is called, when my player collides with or hits any other collider. When my player collides with any other collider, in this case it will be ground. So if it's collide with the ground or any other object, maybe cactus or something. So if my player collides with any other object, then this function, special function, is called. And what I'm going in this special function for now, I'm only setting this value to true, which means that which will say that my player is on ground now. So for now, I'm doing only this thing. So now I think we have this is on ground variable correctly set up. So earlier it is, when initialized, its default value will be false, and it will hit the ground because of gravity. It will fall down. My dragon will fall down, and it will hit the ground. As soon as it will hit the ground, Unity will call this special function on collision inter, and as soon as this function is called, I will set is on ground value to true. So this will become true, and yes, our player is on ground, so this variable will become true. Now, whenever we jump, when we hit the space bar, and when we are on ground, so this will be true. And when you hit the space bar, jump function will be called. In that, we are performing 3 tasks. One, we are adding some force in top direction. Then we are playing an audio. And last thing that we are doing is, now my player is not on ground, so we are setting this value to false. So I'll play with this code. I'll play the game. This normally is working. Now if I press the space bar multiple times, it doesn't fly multiple times like Flappy Bird. Once again, we'll play large screen. And if I press multiple times in here, it doesn't fly multiple times. Okay, so we have covered some good concepts here. So for now, I'll stop the class here itself. I'll put this code in this folio editor. So here I put the same code. What I did is, so this variable we had added, and we are setting this variable value to false when it is jumping and when it is hitting the ground. So on collision inter function will be called when it hits the ground. So in this, we are setting this value to true. When it hits the ground, its value we are setting to true, and when it jumps, we are setting its value to false. And now we are using this condition as well. So 2 conditions we are using: a spacebar if you have pressed and it is on the ground, then only you should call the function. So this is it. And audio also we have added.